getting in touch with your real voice will give you a very practical way to begin to express sincerely who you are by getting in touch with the real you. Welcome to the Zen Stoic Path, where we share a modern take on timeless wisdom to help you develop unshakable inner peace so that you can live a liberated life. I'm your host, Victor Pierantoni, and the co-founder and head liberation coach. Be sure to follow me on social at victor.liberatedlife for daily content. Let's get into the show. In this episode, we're going to be discussing how to meditate and just some of the basic fundamental principles that make meditation a much more fruitful experience when you're doing it. Now, there are many different ways to meditate out there, and there is no real right or wrong way, but the whole idea of meditation is to bring yourself into the present moment, typically through your breath. Now, in Zen, there is a form of meditation called Zazen, which is a seated meditation that is designed to bring you into the experience of the now and allow you to experience what is called non-self. Now, non-self does not mean that the self doesn't exist. It means that there is no automatic or apparent self in terms of the ego. Many of us, we meditate, or at least we go into meditation with the ego. You can see this because people will typically brag or boast about their meditation practice, which is self-diminishing. It's a little ridiculous. But the idea of meditation is very simple, and it just takes some sensory awareness. And we go into the meditation to basically get in touch with what I like to call our real voice. Our real voice is the voice of intuition. It is the voice of ourselves and coming from the place of the deepest level of our consciousness. And so this meditation that we're going to be going through in today's episode is actually a meditation that begins with a breathing exercise and brings us into our most fundamental state of consciousness. And it brings you deeper and deeper as you go through it through your breathing, and gives an understanding of how to bring about that true voice within yourself. And the true voice is the voice of the witness. In the previous episode, we were talking a lot about the ego and how when we over-identify with the ego, we get very latched onto these beliefs and ideas about ourselves. And we try to keep up that idea of ourselves through performing to the external world, through performing and fulfilling the roles that people expect us to fulfill. And we do that through performance. We do that through insincerity. And so getting in touch with your real voice will give you a very practical way to begin to express sincerely who you are by getting in touch with the real you. It is going into a place of what is called being in witness, right? The witness of your mind. So a couple tips when it comes to meditation that will make the process more effortless is to first and foremost, wherever you're at, focus on the sensation of your feet on the ground, or if you're sitting in a cross-legged position, focus on the sensation of maybe you making contact with wherever it is that you're sitting, the contact of your legs or your butt on whatever surface that you're sitting, feeling that sensation of that. The second thing that you can keep in mind is to focus on the sensation of your breath and becoming very aware of just the raw data of that sensation, not necessarily making a definition out of it, not necessarily trying to make it mean anything, but just focusing on the raw sensation of what that feels like. When you focus on yourself connecting with whatever surface that you're sitting on or your feet on the ground, that will bring you into the environment, into the room, in space and time. Whereas focusing on the breathing will bring you into your body. It'll bring you into that place of awareness. And then the third tip is to simply watch the thoughts that go by. Imagine as though whenever you're thinking or you feel like the thoughts are not stopping in your head and that you start to believe that you're bad at meditation, instead of thinking that you're bad at meditation, just simply think of those thoughts like a doom scroll on your social media that you're just doing with your mind, and almost allow yourself to zoom out or take a step back and simply just watch them go by. Not necessarily latch onto them, but just watch them go by. And the guided meditation in this episode will help you to do that and will help you to begin to differentiate between the latching onto those thoughts and your real voice, or that perspective of witness like we were talking about. So feet on the ground, focus on the sensation of your breath, and step into the seat of witness where you're just watching and observing your thoughts, your feelings, the sensation without making them mean anything. If you find yourself getting latched onto a juicy thought and then you remember that you're meditating, that's not a moment to beat yourself up. That's a moment to simply realize that you are doing the meditation correctly by bringing awareness back to the breath, back to the practice, back to the focus of what it is that you're doing in that moment. Also, a couple quick disclaimers. If you're driving while you listen to this podcast, this is not the time to necessarily go through the meditation, or definitely not to close your eyes during the meditation. Obviously, you can listen to it, but if you are driving, please pay attention to the road. If you're walking, make sure that you're not running into people. This is very important. If you're going to meditate, just make sure you're in a spot where you can actually relax and do it in a way where you're not going to be worried about being distracted in any way. It's only a few minutes long, and I do this on purpose by creating what I like to call micro meditations so that you can do them anywhere and so that it can allow you to change your state of being wherever you are, simply by engaging in the breathing, the focus that the meditation has to offer. So without further ado, enjoy this meditation that is called Your Real Voice. Find a comfortable seated position and simply begin to breathe normally, naturally. Nothing special, simply breathing in the here and now. And as you continue to breathe, allow your mind to bring your attention to the sensation of your breathing. Simply feeling your breath. With each inhale and each exhale, feeling the rhythm of your breath. Feeling the oxygen enter your body, energizing all of your cells. Feeling each exhale, simply letting go of all tension and stress. And as you bring your awareness even more focused in on the feeling of your breath, begin to observe there is a feeling of the breath. There is a perception of the feeling of the breath. There is a tendency towards the perception of the feeling of the breath. There is a consciousness of the tendency of the perception towards the feeling of the breath. Feel yourself coming into total self-awareness, observing your breath at this level of your consciousness. Here you can see that all the thoughts, feelings, and noise in your mind are simply like passing clouds. They do not define you or control you. And most importantly, the thoughts, feelings, and noise of the mind are not you. Do not follow the idea of others, but learn to listen to the voice within yourself. Dojin Zenji. What we must remember is that the voice within ourselves that seems to be making all the noise in our minds is not actually our own voice. For we have two voices within our being that we experience on a daily basis. We have the internal voice and the external voice. The external voice is always trying to tell us who we are and how we should be, and is constructed based on the echoes of every voice of the people in our lives from the moment we were born. This is the voice of our parents, family, friends, teachers, authorities, social norms and constructs, all blended into a single, non-stop conversation in our heads. This is the voice that judges. This is the voice that seems to speak unfairly and loudly. This is the voice of distraction, and this is not your voice. For your voice exists in the internal world. For the internal voice is more of a feeling than it is a voice. And at most, it is a whisper. It is your intuition, your instinct, your gut. This is the voice of truth. This is the voice you come in touch with when you simply focus on your breathing and take a moment to allow your thoughts and feelings to melt away, knowing that these thoughts, more often than not, are not your own. Begin to listen to this voice with each breath you take, and come back into the now. If you enjoyed today's meditation and you would like more, be sure to click the link in the description to get access to our 3-day micro meditation journey. Each day you will be emailed 2 meditations, 1 energizing and 1 calming. So no matter where you're at, the meditation will meet you where you're at and take you to where you want to be in only a few short minutes a day. Join the micro meditation journey now.